What is everyone? Welcome to Nerd on the Podcast. You need to deserve. What did I just say? Where all levels of nerd are welcome. We are back and listening to Mandalorian, the most official, unofficial companion series for Mandalorian on Disney Plus. We break down the episodes from plot and key characters and give our takeaways from a mythos and narrative aspect. Today's episode, we covered Chapter 10, The Passenger.
Yeah.
A lot to unpack with this one. Before we get too far into it, let's introduce the host. I'm
Corey.
I'm Tom.
I'm Ali.
And this episode is brought to you in part by the wonderful people of the Nerd Nation, powered by Patreon. If you'd like to know more about it, check out nerdon.tv/Patreon. Gives you never preferred episodes like the Nerd On Minute and Extra, where we talk about things that aren't topical, or they're pretty topical, but they're not always nerdy things. The Minute is a really interesting, fun thing that we do. We try to get a whole podcast done in a minute, which is really crazy. But also you get discount codes for merchandise, but also early access to episodes of the Nerd On podcast, as well as the update. But also we can't talk about our Discord. We have to talk about our Discord, nerdon.tv/Discord, where you can check out, which is free to everybody. But if you're a part of that Nerd On Nation, then you have private channels for you where you can be part of episodes of the update and also being part of the Guest That Grump segment. And also our Apogee Hype Mic, as well as our Odyssey headphones. Apogee Hype Mic is what we're recording this episode on. It's really great for all creators from trying to make podcasts, doing Twitch streams, YouTube content. I really recommend it for everybody, but specifically for the actors right now who are having to do a lot of self-tapes. It's a wonderful audio device that works on your phone, computer. It's plug and play, has really great compression. I highly recommend it. Comes with a great carrying case, especially if you need to do some stuff on the go. And also Odyssey headphones. If your ears are like Ollie's, you need to have the most comfortable thing on the market while providing awesome quality. So you want to be able to hear your podcast co-hosts. But also, if your ears are hungry and they were mouths, then it would taste like butter. We use them for all of our podcast needs. I use them for every time I'm having to record stuff for my Pokemon Nuzlocke, or when I'm playing on Discord or Twitch streaming. So it's another wonderful headphone that I really recommend. It's got this long cable, so if you need to grab something from across the room, since you're always connected to your computer, it's really great. But also does feature a wonderful carrying case as well. So Apogee and Odyssey, we couldn't do this without you. With all that housekeeping out of the way, let's get on with the episode.
Passenger.
The passenger. What were you guys' initial reactions? What were you guys' thoughts?
Well, from a Star Wars fan standpoint, there are a lot of nods in this episode to a lot of deep lore things that I really enjoyed. But as a narrative, especially coming off the last episode, the first time I watched it, I was a little less excited. But then I watched it a second time and I found a lot of stuff I actually really liked about this episode. I really enjoyed the dynamic of, it's kind of, in a sense, a bottle episode a little bit. Where it's
what do you mean bottle?
So bottle episode in a TV series is where you keep your characters in one location almost for the entire episode. And they're stuck usually in close quarters. So an example of a bottle episode would be, there's an episode of Family Guy where Stewie and Brian are locked in a bank vault overnight. Or there's literally an episode in Community called Bottle Episode where they're stuck in the study room for the entire episode. So you get like a miniature one of that in this episode. But yeah, I actually, we'll get into specifics a little bit, but I ended up actually, I think this season so far is 2 for 2 for me. On over season 1.
Yeah. Nice. I think I'm right there with you as far as like the narrative. It's hard to sort of pull a clean, like one-line synopsis for the episode. I mean, in some ways it is really easy, but I think what it benefits from in sort of escaping any negatives that could come from it being like a bottle episode is the fact that it kind of wraps up the previous episode and it kind of goes back to I forget the character's name, Pelly Mano, right? Or Motto is her name in the show.
Just Pelly. I go with
Pelly. They go back to her and they kind of wrap up some of that stuff, and then they have that sort of like hijinks with the sort of pirates or whatever in the middle of the desert. Which, by the way, I want to know how this fight scene stacks up in comparison for you, Tom, compared to like the first episode? I mean, it's obviously like short, but I think it was.
I was gonna say the first one was supposed to be
more
a big
visually
introductory fight. This is more of like a scrap.
Yeah. But I thought it was interesting. But again, it's like, okay, so like, what does this scene serve for this episode, right? So that's the kind of, it's the hard, lines to draw. But there was enough small episodes that I just loved so much in this one that I totally forgave any of those issues.
For me, I would say I'm starting to see a little bit of the issues I had before with season 1. Not so egregious in that sense of like there's no character involved. Where I will say in the sense of like 2 for 2 of like I give a shit about Din Djarin a lot.
Yeah.
And I like where that piece is going with the like if this is quote unquote the runner is like you're trying to see a little bit more of the character from this point of view, which I'm like, I don't know what we did all season 1 though. But this episode, I think a lot of people are going to look at it as the kind of like bottle episode, but also the like this is the freak of the week monster thing that we're going to talk about. But it has some implications in there that like I'm excited for, but I'm also very cynical about, because I felt like with season 1 there was a lot of things of like here's this note of a thing, but we're not going to talk about it, and it was just kind of very like it's not satisfying to answer those questions how you answer it, versus like I'd rather you not answer it and give me an answer to a question I never had if you're not going to answer this in a way that I like that is satisfying. For me, that's just for me purely. I know I'm a huge minority in the world of people, and everyone's just like Tom fucking's an asshole. And anyway, so but going on to that, there's a little bit of production. It's pretty much the same people, but I do want to make sure that we do give a mention to the director of the episodes, Peyton Reed, who directed The Breakup, Yes Man, Ant-Man the Wasp. And also I just want to give a shout out because, if most of the showrunners, all that stuff, the cast will say the same. So for the production part of the show, we'll just talk about like specific key things like appearances by. So the motion capture performance or the physical performance, Frog Lady is the same actor who I Have Spoken. That character.
Cool.
So and also appearance by Dave Filoni as one of the Republic X-Wing fighter pilots. But also the director of photography, Boz Ideon, who did additional photography and also was the camera operator for films such as Rogue One, Vice, and Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. And I really want to just kind of make sure that we're trying to talk about, at least if this show, when the show continues, we talk holistically about the show and the great things they've done. But other than that, I forget, we don't do like a brief synopsis for the episode, right? We just go straight into this boy.
No, yeah, we just go into it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it, and I want to talk real quick. One thing is a little bit of a theory thing.
Sure.
And we talked about our production and who certain characters will be in the future. And so we know people like, because this is all announced. Right. It was like Boba Fett was going to make an appearance, Ahsoka Tano might make an appearance, all these things. And so I'm thinking, so they included this spider thing in the thing where the first time this spider made an appearance was in Star Wars Rebels.
Uh-huh.
And I will go ahead and be the first to say I was not like on the bandwagon to start watching Star Wars Rebels. And then my boy Ian was like, you're going to like it. Just start watching it. And I started watching it and I really fucking liked it. It's a really good show. But that specific show, when it introduced these spiders, which are different than the ones in the video game.
Knights of the Old Republic. Yeah.
No, the other video game.
Oh.
Fallen Order. The spiders in Rebels was in an episode featuring Sabine Wren. Sabine Wren, if people know who that is in Star Wars Rebels, is the Mandalorian in the show. And in the show's Rebels, like Sabine Wren is a female Mandalorian, and she's pretty baller. She's what I thought the Mandalorian show should have been, of like, I'm a Mandalorian, but I'm artistic, and this is like me as the vessel to explore like there are like Mandalorians who are like part of this giant like hierarchy, and there are different clans, and I'm from Clan Ren, and I'm like, this seems baller. And then the Mandalorian show was just not that at all. But that being said, with the spiders being included, I'm thinking that a particular someone that we've mentioned, I won't get into the spoiler territory because I got in trouble for that last season, was certain people who have been announced that were in the show, I think are going to be certain people we've seen before in the Dave Filoni universe. Will it be
The Filoniverse.
Yeah, I don't know. And if it is, that'd be cool. But will it be fruitful? Who knows? I know that there are some Star Wars TV shows that aren't announced that are starting production. So it's very interesting to see, like, who knows what's going to happen? Because there's a lot of talks with Darth Maul, a Boba Fett show. So it's like, who knows what's going to happen?
That's kind of what I mean by, like, I like that we just get to live in this universe. I talked about it last week where, you know, it felt more lived in, you know, with them kind of going after the dragon. And it was sort of, it left the territory of fan service and became kind of like a rich universe that we can just spend time in. And I think that is what Dave Filoni is interested in. I think he spent a lot of energy and effort creating this and expanding this universe during Rebels. And I think he sees the opportunity to really bring it and show even more people what his vision is for sort of this universe moving forward. And that's, I think, ultimately what is exciting, or as far as the prospect of that, whether that kind of pays off in some like super, satisfying way this season or in a future season remains to be seen. But I'm excited for what they're starting off to do and what the technology enables them to do, with seemingly not as, obviously there's a lot of hard work and a lot of like research and development that's gone into the technology they use to make the show. But I love that they spent the time, they spent the money, they nailed the technology, and now they get to, with very, like, Dave Filoni can put anything he wants in the show from Rebels, and he's basically created that platform of, like, back in the day, we used to praise animation and stuff of being able to do whatever you wanted. And now it's sort of like, this is it. We've gotten to the place where Filoni can just continue his vision in a live action setting instead. So that's I think exciting.
For me, the thing I really liked about this episode was the relationship between Mando and the frog lady. Did she have a name? I don't remember it.
I don't think so.
I think they kept calling her frog lady, actually, even in the credits.
I really enjoyed the scene where she rewires the robot from the first season to speak for her. I love that she just left and went chilling to go to, like, a warm pool to make sure her eggs are incubated correctly. And for not understanding the character for 90% of the episode, I really enjoyed the portrayal of that species. Mm-hmm. I loved when they were running, how she was trying to sprint and then she was like, fuck this. And then got on all fours and just started hopping away. And I was like, this is great. This is awesome. It also is really cool. Some of the callbacks, the reason he didn't want to signal to ping is because his ship, he helped break out Empire folk from prison, from a rebel command fleet, from episode 6, the jailbreak episode from season 1. And I had totally forgot about that. I was like, why didn't he just ping him? And that, in fact, that whole scene between the X-Wings and him, being like, yeah, I guess I don't, it's not working. I don't know. All right, well, we're just going to have to take you in anyway. Oh, here it is. It's working now.
Yeah.
I know that feeling very well. So yeah, they do seem to be humanizing Mando a little bit more this season, which I also
liked his relationship with the child in this episode.
Yeah.
It had a very old school feel to it, to the sort of eggs. The quiet his quiet adventure with trying to get the eggs. It felt very droid-esque in that sort of whimsy and silliness to it. Yeah, and I was like, I really appreciated that little flavor.
I did
that little thread through the episode.
I did like what Corey was kind of talking about, kind of like the Republican X-Wing fighters. Like, I really liked that sequence because it felt
Republican? The New Republic?
The New Republic, yeah, the Republic, wherever. They're called the Resistance, and I'm like, they're the Republic. So yeah, the New Republic people. So like, I really liked that because I liked how they kind of provided this Deus Ex Machina at the very end, in a way where it wasn't like, well, now everything is solved. Where there's a little bit of like hey, if I give you this bounty, then how about you help me out with this? And they're like, how about we don't kill you? You just get out of here. And I was like,
yeah,
that's I really
says,
like.
Why don't you give me a bounty and fix my ship and get me out of here? And he goes, how about we don't kill you and you meet us back at this place and we'll fix your ship.
Yeah, I really liked that because to me, I can't handle. It's not I can't handle. I don't think it's really well thought out if you're if all the heroes are all the good guys are just like fucking great human beings where like they are the good guys. But they're also not just like, oh, we're going to help out and we're cannon fodder. We're like, nah, like, you put us on this race thing, but also like we
broke
saved
out Empire supporters.
We saved you, and
it respects that like that idea, that group of people that like those pilots.
People.
And I also kind of like the idea that like if they wanted to go further with it, they wanted to bring in some Rian Johnson vibes into it, where it's like the Republic is also just another government. It's like, it doesn't mean it's any better than the last one. It's just like, they're also just not trying to destroy planets all the time, but they're still just space bullies, like that'd be kind of cool just to see that.
They were like, no, it's lunch break. Sorry, we can't help you.
Yeah. So it's just I like that aspect of it. Also one thing, a shout out I didn't mention was, the voice for Frog Lady. Yes. I just looked up on the Wikipedia, is voiced by D. Bradley Baker, who voices all of the clones in the animated series. So it's there's that. But
perfect.
No, I like that. I liked the fight scene with the beginning fight scene. I think was better than the first fight scene, to answer Ollie's question. And I think the cave fight with the spiders was pretty well done. Like I think there was the quote unquote Genndy Tartakovsky rule of cool with him like shooting up the flamethrower gauntlet thing. And just a random tiger ADR for no reason. But I thought those were fun bits, and I liked that there was helplessness because it was starting to get to a point where nothing stops Mando. He's a rubber human being, so obviously no stakes are there's no stakes ever. I did like a little bit of
Speaking of which, they ate steaks in this episode.
Yeah, yeah, they did. That great dragon,
delicious great dragon.
Any other favorite parts?
Yeah, I mean that first fight scene when he wrist grapples the gun to knock out the other guys, and then he lets the thing take it. It's like a Jawa kind of thing.
Yeah,
lets him take the jetpack and then like deet, 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 and just takes it off, and you just see this body fly down. Like,
and then that look that the child gives him, that judgmental like
he's like, what?
You have to do it that way.
Yeah.
I did like how at the end of that the jetpack comes back to him and it just falls down. It's not so clean. Like to me, there is that.
It doesn't just land. It lands and then like tips,
falls over. I'm like, there's a little bit of like, there needs to be not a sense of like I'm too cool for school like sense where it's like, all right,
it's the flaw of the jetpack. It's like probably advertised to be able to like land with precision like a SpaceX rocket or something, and then it just falls over.
And I was really glad they didn't play the entire ship like a safe zone. Like even going inside the ship and seeing that the spiders beat him in there, and then like getting into the cockpit and the doors not shutting all the way, and like I thought it was really, the suspense was really well done in this episode.
Yeah, good suspense.
And then how quickly they overtake that ship, right? Because you see them start getting shot, and he comes out, and there's already webs everywhere inside the hull of the ship, and it just shows you how quick these creatures are. They hatch and they hunt, and they immediately start building a nest wherever they are. I thought they were terrifying. I thought they were the spiders from Knights of the Old Republic when I first watched it.
I saw something that they were like cut from, like there were concept from like this, like the 70s or 80s, and it was cut from like the future.
They were originally for Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, okay.
But it was like a concept art of like
on Hoth,
that,
right?
Of exactly
planet,
that with the eggs and everything around it.
And that's an interesting thing because that's a Dave Filoni thing. Dave Filoni is a very big like deep cuts kind of guy.
Yeah,
and
like putting Sabak in the game. Hello, I mean in the show. That's cool. That's very cool.
Yeah. So I mean, it's that extended universe stuff that they're kind of paying homage to.
Also paying homage to Ant-Man.
I guess.
Put a giant ant in there. Although there is a giant bug creature in the first Star Wars in the cantina. There's like a big
And then everyone's like,
grasshopper.
"Oh my god, that's the one Easter egg!"
thing.
Like, yeah, I guess if you don't call it that. It could
I
just be a
thought
fucking
more of
ant.
the Easter eggs that I read were more so that Pele wins with Idiot's Array, which is what Lando wins with in Rebels in the episode titled Idiot's Array. So I thought that was a nice little deep cut to his own show. I enjoy those little things that aren't like in your face, like, look, we brought Han Solo back from the dead.
Right.
It's more subtle, like pay
They're more
attention
grounded.
and you'll catch them.
Yeah.
Well,
kind of
I'm
things.
kind of in that boat where like I want to start seeing like that Rebels Clone Wars universe stuff. Like I want to see the father.
We might be
and the
building
son.
up to it. I
Yeah.
mean, because this is supposed to take place right before the show, right?
Yeah.
The Rebels show.
Because this could introduce all the players and then the spin-offs. Because like this, I don't know if I would want this show to ever become like at the scale of like a film, like a Star Wars film, right? I like the Western smaller scale aspect of it,
Well,
but it could totally open up the possibility for shows to spin off and
and they definitely can
and
achieve
just
that
run-
if they
run
stick
crazy
to
with
a fucking time slot. Instead of being 41
they
minutes.
got to figure it out. Everybody's figuring it out. Right?
But no, this Rebels is before New Hope
Oh, okay.
Before.
Okay.
because Darth
Got it.
Vader's around.
Oh, right.
Yeah. That's what I was like, but yeah. So favorite characters for this episode? Is there really a question?
No, the child was fun. One of the more fun episodes for
I mean,
the
it's
child.
always it's Mando.
I mean,
But-
you got Mando, you
And
got
the
Frog
Frog Lady
Lady,
was
and you got
great.
yeah.
Pele.
I did, yeah. For like
Dr.
again,
Mandible.
big shout out to them doing like as much practical as they could, with it and all that stuff, and it looked great.
The
So-
practicals, I am enjoying the practicals. They're using the practical suits with the CGI mouths
Mouths
because it's a
and-
lot more subtle. It's like
Yeah.
dinosaurs in the rain.
Mhm.
It's a lot harder to tell that there's CGI when you have someone in the suit. Like Tom pointed out, I think last week with Simon Pegg in the suit in
Force Awakens.
Force Awakens. Thank you. It's a real suit, and they just CGI the face a little bit. It's a lot more subtle. I mean, it was nice in the
Yeah.
first episode with John
even when
Leguizamo's character.
Even when she switches to full frog, like I think because they focus like it's more on Mando's perspective during
And
the
it's
run.
moving camera.
It's moving camera. It's very subtle. You don't get a chance to really observe the quality of it too well. So
Right.
they do it in a clever way to
Yeah.
hide the seams, so to speak.
I will say that my heart dropped when the ground caves underneath them in that scene. I was like, oh my god! I honestly thought it was gonna be one of those worms from was that Empire.
Yeah.
But it's rough. This is a rough episode for Mando. Not
Well,
a
the
fan.
thing is, I feel
IKEA
like
ship comes together, no problem.
it's
Yeah.
it's the which I really like the kind of storytelling of like it's the Assassin's Creed, it's the God of War of like by season 2, Mando had everything. He had a speeder bike, he got a jetpack, and then I was like, and then he started taking that stuff away. I'm like, okay, you got to give him a little bit of a fucking challenge. And so this
Right.
one's like, cool, like he's not going to win all the things.
It would have been sad if he lost his jetpack. Like actually,
I'm excited to see what happens once he reaches the station. To be honest,
Yeah,
because that's as far as he can get. I also liked the what was the I'd never heard the phrase in the Star Wars universe before. Maybe I just missed it in other canon episodes. But she say sublight or sublight speed.
You can't go light speed.
you can't go into light speed. Yeah,
Yeah.
They had a phrase for that. It was called.
It's like
I wrote it down.
sublight. I think.
Yeah, I
or
loved
something.
that. I thought that
Yeah.
was cool. He's like, I'm supposed to travel sublight. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I
That's
love
like,
that stuff.
hey, we need you to ride across the state. Okay, great, but you got to do it on a bike, not a car.
It's still 300.
Because like, how else can you have like a story like that, or like an Oregon Trail style story? Because when you can instantly teleport to any like
Yeah,
Coruscant from the
it was a good way to do it.
from the edge of the galaxy to the core in like 2
Yeah.
seconds.
It's
I
still
mean-
300 million meters per second. So
It's for me. This was a really. I think this is so far. I mean, we're only 2 episodes in, but these episodes have been very distinct from the first season. Aside from episode 3 of season 1 was phenomenal. I don't think anything has topped that quite yet.
Yeah.
Shout out to Deborah Chow. But the stakes in this one were really well done. You already have someone who can't travel light speed. It's literally the last spawn she's gonna be able to give in her life cycle. They risked everything and now the ship has crashed and they might all die. Like it was
And
really,
the child is eating the eggs.
it was really built up really well. I thought this was, shout out to the writers.
Any qualms?
I'm sure I will in a sec here.
I got two off the bat.
Go for it. You start us off. I'll jump
I'm not a fan of the egg eating thing.
Really?
It was to me like, obviously they got to do 3 times. And this is just like, ha ha ha, someone's fucking whole spawn at the expense for someone's comedy. Like,
I'll jump on that one.
It's like Chris Farley falling off a cliff every time. It's like, stop making fun of the fat guy.
That's fair.
Like, Chris Farley was hilarious, but the first time was funny. The first time I chuckled out loud.
Yeah. Like
I saw it just go and like pop in his mouth. I was like, oh god damn it, he eats everything.
Well, to me, it's like they established that in the first season where he eats frogs.
Yeah,
and like that's fine and all that stuff, but it's like this
think.
became like a thing where it's like, this looks like a good time for him to eat a frog. Like it became so like, I know by the numbers like when it's gonna happen. It did like the first time it happened, like you said, like I was like, oh shit, like that's cool. It's like a baby's day out. But like do you think
that's them trying to give more to the baby to do while he's just kind of like a passenger?
A lot of apologists have said like, just Jon Favreau knows you can't just sell Baby Yoda just based on cuteness. And I'm like, I don't give a shit how you sell him, but like it's just kind of like forced comedy for me.
Mm-hmm. I did like the force of pulling all the eggs towards him.
Yeah, I thought that. See, that's kind of cool.
Visual was nice, but the second time he ate the egg in the end, I was like,
to me, it kind of
just spider. It just
It just distracted any sense of connection that the frog lady could have had with Din Djarin because of like, you're having to protect your own child. You should know how it fucking feels like. But instead, no, your child just eats my child, so who gives a fuck?
Yeah, I agree with that.
So like,
I did like his rebellion to go eat the spiders instead. I did like that.
And then the second thing was I'm getting a little worried because I know how I wanted a lot more humanity out of Mando, but like, because in season 1 he's very like, the reason I think I got such a weird like arm's length away from him is because there's almost nothing for him to do other than shoot things where he's at, or do things, because he's almost too, you don't need him to, he doesn't need anything really. Because he's so good at doing everything he's doing. And that's the tough thing I think with the bounty hunter character is they're really good at tech. They could fight on their own. They could rally people around. They could find whoever the fuck they're trying to kill because they're a bounty hunter. So in season 2, he's trying to find Mandalorians because they may know where Jedi are, because they may know where the child species is. But this season so far has been like, apparently he doesn't know how to find his own people. And apparently he doesn't know how to find any clues other than the 2 people he talked to. So it's like, I guess this is how you do it, but also it's like, shouldn't you be like a master tracker? Like, how does Boba Fett
you also have to remember with bounties, they already have a location and a face.
Mm-hmm. And so like, and that's the thing where it's like, he's a master bounty hunter, but he can't track certain things. So it's a little interesting. It takes a step back, I think, for like his humanity to step forward. And so I'm kind of like, it feels like every episode is going to be led to, like, it's what I make fun of The Dark Knight for and the Nolan Batman of like, he's not a detective at all. Because the only thing he's good at is yelling, asking questions like, where's the trigger? Where's the drugs going? Where, like, where's Rachel? Like, there's like, that's not a detective work. So like, Mando's only thing is like, hey, you know where I can find Mando's? Like, I don't know. How about you fucking go look with your goddamn scouter? And it's like, I just want to ask people instead so I can introduce this plot character. Okay, sounds cool. Like, there's a little bit of that.
How do you start
in that way?
Looking for someone, you ask.
I guess for me, like,
you don't just hit the ground.
You want to see you want to see him like struggle at a task.
There's
more than just like an ex machina saving the day, or like
there's a little bit of
for instance, like the squadron coming in at the end, right? Like that wasn't him solving.
Well, there's something that in the Filoni shows that they did before where there's a little bit of a desperateness that each character kind of came across where like there is no other person you can ask. And like they've used the Force to intervene with that, which has been cool. But then there is like, comparing it to like, again, a space Western samurai show where it's like you've had Samurai Jack, you have the Genndy Tartakovsky shows where it's like there's just silence. There's no character. There's nothing for him to do. There's no one to be like, I have to save this one person. But it's like, I'm alone. There's the
I think also in season 1, it took him, like, I think one of his struggles or one of his growths were him like taking on the child, right, as his responsibility. And I think he had to, in him and also him like trusting in droids over the course of the season, like those were threads that you could follow. We don't quite have that fully in this yet. You know, he's still looking for the coven. He's still trying to get, you know, the wizards. Nothing's really changed about where he's at, nor has it really set up sort of any kind of arc that would be going on through this season. I imagine
he's about to be knee deep in.
I imagine everything from last season is going to catch up to us. So that's probably where this season is headed, if I had to guess. And also,
I guess for me, it just kind of felt like
bigger ideas, but
he should be at where John Wick 3 is at, where like everyone's coming after him, but it doesn't feel like that at all.
Right.
It just feels a little like, well, we're on this little mission thing, and I'm not trying to talk shit about the side mission vibe, but it's just like I just don't feel like
the
there's
mission
any
so that
need for him.
We don't mind the side missions. You know, like it's like it started the season with like arguably a couple side missions, and we're like, okay, well, where are we going? You know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like about side missions, the way you're supposed to go about it is like you have to get this thing in order to get that thing in order to go. So it feels like this big obstacle for him, but it's like it's to save people. So it shouldn't feel like it's a thorn in his side. So it's at this point, like I guess to that point, it's like there's not a lot of like growth for him to do. There's a lot of human for him, which is fine. But like, I'm not going to talk about like the weird thing with the droid stuff. But that's just my qualm. But any other qualms for anyone else?
The weird thing with the droid stuff?
Yeah.
That he doesn't like droids?
He doesn't like droids. And at the very end, there's like IG-88 who's like, I've never been alive, so you don't have to feel bad for me. It's like,
I didn't say you don't have to feel bad for me.
He says that. He says, don't be sad. I've never been alive.
Oh, yeah. No, but his whole thing was that no living thing has seen his face. He's
I'm not alive. So it's like, okay, cool. So you're not a real, you know, it's that sense. It's like, all right, well, let's see how it works with an actual droid who has a personality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then they still argue, is it just numbers and programming? I mean, as we saw with C-3PO in not Last Jedi.
Yeah. Like I like
Rise
to see
of Skywalker.
Like let's pull on that
totally
thread some more. You know, hand that off. You know, hand that story thread off to another droid. Let's continue that.
If Star Wars wants to start tackling droids, then they're going to have to start tackling slavery, and I don't think they're going to be doing that.
I mean, they did.
Not well.
In Solo, I thought that was really well done.
What happens to her?
I mean, she gets killed, but she saves thousands.
She doesn't save. She gets ripped apart because Emilia Clarke says sorry and then puts it into the machine.
But she saves all the people who were enslaved there.
Oh, then yes, that's fine. And then and once she meets her arc, bang bang, they kill the character off, and I'm like,
right, make some sacrifices to save hundreds of people. Anyway, that's not the show we're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I have any qualms for this episode. I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm excited for him to meet the New Republic. See what happens with all transgressions he's had against freeing their prisoners and all that.
I want to see what Frog Man looks like, and if they're going to call him Frog Man or give him an actual name.
General Frogman.
Hey, Frog Man.
Is he seeing them? He's going to go get the ship fixed first, right?
Well, there's shots in the trailer where he's walking with Frog Man and Frog Lady.
Got it.
So I'm like, that's probably the next episode.
Thanks for spoiling it, though.
I'm in it, y'all. This is, I think, aside from like Clone Wars, this is one of the, for me, better Star Wars experiences I've had, including the excluding Clone Wars and the original films.
I'm kind of going on that idea that like large IPs are probably better served in TV.
Yeah.
Just because you get to kind of just be in it for a longer period of time.
Spend time.
Yeah, you don't feel like it has to be like, I think there are things that like are like Joker that could be like, here's a movie. Rogue One could be like a movie. But then if you just do like, cool, the Star Wars saga, all of it done in serial form, could have been fucking baller.
Yeah, I think it comes down to what's the story you want to tell and what your goal is, right? So something like this where it's expanding on the universe and it's opening up all these threads that we can like continue to pull on, that, you know, has to be a TV show, right? It can't be a movie. It needs that breath.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anything else before we wrap up the episode? Anything that we hope to see for the next episode? Any?
I said it. I was like, I just want to see The New
I
Republic.
want to see the New Republic. I mean, we've just been teased. I'm gonna still consider it a tease even from the theatrical movies. I want to get in there.
I want to see something that connects from the first episode, or else I'm gonna snore. Something that just
something that connects from the first episode.
Yeah, a Boba Fett, a Darksaber, something. Give me something that connects a little bit, just to feel a little bit more serial,
back to Tatooine,
or a little bit more episodic, just a little bit more. Maybe just the other engine from Anakin's speeder. Then I'd be like, cool.
What happened to that?
Well,
Boba has that one.
Everyone, that's the show. That's all show we got.
Yeah,
that's it.
6
That's
more
all
episodes.
out of show for this episode. It's short. Mandalorian is a short series, short episodes for short TV episodes that are a little 40-minute long. So, everyone, if you haven't already, check out nerdon.tv for the website where you can see all the stuff for Nerd on the Podcast, Nerd on Update, the Capes Crusaders, and check out our Patreon with Nerd on Nation because it does help us out. But any other way to support the show, sharing with your friends, telling people about it, telling people to tune in about it, it really helps us out. Reviewing also The Mandalorian specifically on top of the review that you gave for Nerd On. Do you have any other messages for our light speed faring friends, our fellow
May the
hosts?
Force be with you.
May the Force be with you.
And with you as well. Well, everyone, that's been the show. You know the drill. As always, Nerd On.
Ending broadcast.